All right, let's try this again.
Hopefully it works better this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't, I don't know if you got any of my question, but it was basically when you do a challenge like
Yes,
the Traverse, Western State, running 100 miles in your house, I'm sure that you always go to a dark place because like in 100 miles, you always
yes.
are gonna be there. How different is, and how do you handle it in those different scenarios?
Yeah, I guess like when you go to a dark place, it's kind of the same place in a way. So like whether, as you say, whether it's kind of from doing like a multi-day project or a 100-mile race, or even I guess like a 50 like K like shorter race, or running it at home, it's definitely, yeah, I think it's like going to a dark place is definitely there's a big kind of mental element to it, and I think it's like the only way to overcome that is to kind of get yourself through that. And I always just try and stay as positive as possible, like mentally, especially often like physically you feel terrible, and then like mentally if you also start to kind of go there, then everything just falls apart. But if I try and stay positive and focus on the positives, kind of what I'm doing, and just kind of back myself, I find that helps. And also just to break the challenge down into mini goals. Like I find, like say Western States, if you're going through a really bad patch and you going through the canyons and it's getting hot, then I just really try and focus on getting to that next aid station, where I'll see my crew and stuff. And once I get there, it's like, cool, actually now I'm starting like afresh again. So breaking the challenge down into bite-sized chunks. If I think about the home run challenge, I actually broke that down into like 4 marathons or 440K blocks. And yeah, like if things were getting really bad, then like I'd break that 40Ks down into 10Ks. And then towards the end, when I was feeling terrible, I was literally just breaking it down to doing like 10 laps at a time. So I think it's breaking down into like bite-sized chunks for you, like mentally to be able to like just make it achievable. Because like a lot of people say, like, flip, running 100 miles, like how do you wrap your head around that mentally? But if you break it down to bite-sized chunks, it's actually not that bad. But if I have to wake up and think, cool, I'm running 160K stat, like it does feel like it's overwhelming and too far. Whereas I think if your mental attitude changes, it definitely, well, I think that's a big kind of secret to kind of getting through those really low moments.
Yeah, but because like for example, if you're doing a mountain run, like let's say a mountain adventure, and you have 3 peaks to go or 5 summits to go, like you have these 5 summits, you have achievable objectives. But when you're doing loops around your house, I mean, you're gonna get to see Max, your son, like every every loop. That can be something motivating, but like I find like even harder, you know.
Yeah, that was actually a lot harder than I expected. As you say, it was awesome to do something at home, but like running past your bedroom every 100 meters, and then your dining room table also like every 100 meters, and then seeing your like son Max like lying on the couch watching TV, like it was hard. Like it was great to have him there, but it was really hard to like focus. Like I don't know, sometimes like, yeah, when you're out doing a project in the mountains, it's just like you and yourself, and you like, come on, like let me focus and get through this. Where kind of, yeah, with the home run, and then even like it was great to have my neighbors supporting, like they would like come and cheer. But like, yeah, you could never, it was just like you're seeing people the whole time. Like I think for me, like for me to focus, I sometimes need to be like in my own little bubble, in my own little world. And that was kind of, yeah, was a challenge.
That's awesome. That was such an inspiring, like like exploration can be found in your house. That was such an inspiring
Yeah, thanks.
challenge. Great work. So I think we have some questions from
Yeah,
our community.
we have quite a few questions for you. Some of them are there. It's pretty a wide range of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's start with this one from Ricky. So basically, he wants to know, how do you hold control on a steep descent whilst keeping a very fast pace? And he says, during the Gone to Gone, this was an issue for me down Orange Kloof. I could get the pace, but without good control, and this caused pain in lower back and knees. So do you have any tips for people who are training, especially for longer distance stuff, but how to hold control on a steep descent when you're going quickly?
Yeah, actually, I do know that the trail he's referring to. It's actually a trail
Okay.
on Table Mountain. So Gone to
If
Gone was like
he listed the name, so I figured it was probably something you
yeah.
might be familiar with.
Yeah, so it's actually been a local challenge that you run from one kind of running store to the other one, but you cross over the mountain. But it's like it's like very like runnable, but like very fast. So it's almost yeah, it is really like challenge. Like it's not a technical trail. It's like it's quite open. So with something with something like that, I guess like practice does make perfect. Just getting used to your legs conditioned for that kind of it's just like almost like overspeed. And it is important to like have good posture and look forward and try not to break too much and just kind of let your momentum take you. But I think something like if it's a more technical trail, then I would suggest just picking the right line and looking like ahead a bit. Definitely not just looking at your feet, because obviously your brain reacts pretty quickly, or like if you're looking like 2 or 3 meters ahead, your brain kind of programs the right trail. So I would suggest that for like more technical trails, and just also not like overstriding too much, just having good like weight distribution. Try to keep kind of some weight underneath your hips, like so you're not like leaning back too much or leaning too forward. And I think going back to the question about the kind of trail down Orange Cliff, definitely like kind of having good weight distribution, because it is a tricky trail. It's like on Table Mountain, it's like the trails are normally very technical. So actually for like UTMB training or kind of getting used to Europe, that's actually a trail I run, because it's very open and runnable, like very fast, like the European trails where you can like really kind of just like open up. So yeah, I think like to try and answer the question, just conditioning kind of helps for that.
That's a lot of good information. We're gonna have to like take it apart and like write like 5 blog posts from it. There is a lot of good information there. And like, so somebody else, like, since we're talking about conditioning, ask how much time do you spend on conditioning, like doing core or mobility, because we all know that it's not just about running, but people doesn't necessarily understand how much time the pros spend like in this other part of the training.
Yeah, I think like luckily kind of I started doing some conditioning work and mobility like right from like the start of my career as a pro athlete, so like kind of 13 years ago. And I guess initially at times like I kind of felt like it wasn't necessary. Like it's weird because like with a lot of conditioning and stuff, like I don't know, you'll go for a run or you'll do a session and you feel like cool, like you've got like a solid return. It's like running, it's like you've built up a sweat. With some like mobility and conditioning stuff, you don't like feel like you kind of like improving as a runner. But I think for longevity and just like all round conditioning, I think it's so important. So I do like 2 to 3 like hour-long sessions a week, but then also like often just before a run or kind of after a run, I often do a lot of mobility work. My hips tend to tighten up, and also my ankles, so I try to do a lot of mobility work. And yeah, I think saying like kind of people often say like, how do you improve as a runner? And I think like one of the best ways is just consistency. If you can like avoid getting injured for like long periods of time, because if you like train for 2 months, like have a great training block, and then you're injured for like 3 months and then 2 months and then like injured, you just never get any consistency. Where if you just keep going, I think you can really get those gains. So yeah, I'm a big fan of mobility and conditioning. I read an article, I don't know who it was, but someone one of the exercise guys said for like every hour of running, you should be doing 10 or 15 minutes of mobility. So it's quite a bit. I'm not quite up to there yet, but I think it's important. I especially find like now that I'm kind of getting a little bit older, definitely the kind of mobility and conditioning does help.
That's true. And related to this question, you have been running ultras like successfully for 13 years or actually more. Like you're being one of the like most what's the word, longev?
Oh, like
Longevity.
yeah,
Yeah,
like you have a
like,
lot of longevity. Like I'm not sure what the way we would even say that. I
but
think.
in this sport, like top athletes tend to like peak, and then
Yeah.
the season is over after a couple of years. But you are being on the top for a while. What it will be like your biggest secret? What's your best secret for to keep running for like so long? And I'm sure you want to keep running for like 50 more
Yeah.
years. So like, what's your secret? What's the secret sauce of Ryan Sands to like run so well for so long?
Yeah, I think it's to like keep enjoying what you do. So like mixing it up. I guess like in my career, like I've done like a lot of like multi-day racing. I've done a lot of projects as well, and then like kind of more like mountain racing, and then like some shorter stuff. I think just really kind of mixing it up and keeping it fresh. I think mentally that's important, but also physically not to just like do the same thing the whole time. And then also, like I mentioned, just also kind of the conditioning and just being consistent really helps. And then also, I guess, trying not to over race. I've made that mistake times. I think the guys are getting a lot better now, but I remember like there was a period, especially maybe like 2011, 2012, or maybe like kind of just after 2010 for about 4 or 5 years, where there were suddenly lots of opportunities and guys were just like grabbing every opportunity as like, cool, I'll travel there and run a 100-mile, and then like 2 weeks later run another 100-mile, and it's awesome, but like it's only sustainable for so long. I've kind of try to not over race. I've got it wrong at times, but yeah. So I think that, and I think just you do like 100-mile or an ultra, there's such a big mental element to it. If you lose that kind of drive and passion, then you've kind of lost the will to keep going.
Yeah. It's also nice to hear. I mean, it's nice to hear put into words the philosophy of not over racing. I mean, it's hard because I think a lot of people having to kind of learn that without having actually chosen to learn it, maybe, which I think is cool. And I covering like, oh, the reason that I train is so that I'm strong enough to go out and explore these cool places, instead of thinking like, oh, I want to race this and race this and race this. I think people are kind of getting back in touch with just like, oh, I'm training so that my body can take me here, which I think is really cool.
Like really important, to kind of just be able to enjoy it.
So we have another question from somebody from our community, and like, since you have done so many long races, and also multi-stage races, how do you deal with sleep deprivation?
Yeah, we have a question from someone who's training for a 60 hours of running challenge, and they want to know what you recommend in terms of training for like heat and sleep deprivation.
Yeah, so sleep deprivation. It's quite hard to train for that. Maybe to train have a newborn baby. No, I'm joking. I guess it's important to like figure out what works for you when it comes to sleeping. So like I find like doing a short power nap of like 10 to 15 minutes works the best for me, and I'd rather do like maybe 2 or 3 of those as opposed to kind of one longer sleep of like 2 hours. I just find if I go past like 15-20 minutes, I go into that like deep sleep, and then I wake up and it's like I'm still too tired. Just like refreshing. And I also know like when I really kind of, when I'm going to battle, I always know that like kind of hour or 2 hours just before sunrise for me is always the worst. So I do the race or the try and be as well. I know sometimes that is to you could try train that in training. I just get worried it takes so much out of you, like mentally and physically. Yeah, it's like that's a yeah. I would be a bit like maybe like kind of do one like sleep deprived run, but I wouldn't kind of keep doing it the whole time. I'd be a bit worried, and just trying to figure out. And also, I guess just to like you think like flip stopping for 10 or 15 minutes is such a long time, or even a half an hour, but it's sometimes you get so tired, you just move so slowly. It feels like you're moving fast, but you're actually kind of not going anywhere. So rather just have a quick sleep, wake up a little bit refreshed, and you'll make up time so quickly. So I guess I find that kind of works for me. Yeah, and then heat training, I think you asked like during the day. Yeah, there are like a number of ways. I say like try and get out if you can and do a run like midday when it's warmer. Also you can train with layers on, like a jacket, some jackets on, and the heat, like a race like Western States, be like definitely really hot. I think like about 2 some on a training, and it's more what's it like pro apparently like under adapt really quickly, but they also apparently I try and do that just like about 45 minutes. You can do a couple of push-ups and sit-ups. I know some guys do running in a sauna. I just try and not like overdo it too much, but then like 3 or normally about the Tuesday, if the race is on this, like the Tuesday will be my last like at least 3 days, just to kind of and don't like dehydrate. So I think that's kind of really helps.
Oh, there are a lot of good tips there too. A lot of techniques to train for heat. It's my enemy. So like I am getting good information here too.
So there's somebody else who's
That's cool.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I put a story flow routine from your training plan too.
Yeah. Trying to implement the mobility before my runs too, and it's like I totally recommend it. Like it takes like 7 minutes, and you're like so good when you start running, because normally when you start running, if it's in the morning or even in the afternoon, in the first mile, like a little bit, like rare. I don't have the word. With the mobility, it just go more smooth right away, like feeling good in the run, and you don't wake up just for it.
No, I think we still kind of
exactly. That does help, especially when you get a bit older. Like you just kind of transition it into the run a bit easier.
Yeah. So it works for everybody.
Okay, I think we have a little bit of a lag, but we have just a couple more questions, and then we can finish up. I think this is a good question. It's a little bit more complex, but someone asking your opinion. Do you think just running in the mountains is enough to be fast and competitive at ultra races? So then he goes on to say, there seems to be a new trend where ultra runners cannot just have tons of endurance and run slow, long races. Even in 100-mile races, runners are running much faster than 10 years ago. So basically just wondering, do you think that it's enough just to go out and clock miles, or what would you suggest in terms of complementing just going out in terms of improving your speed as well?
Yeah, I actually had this discussion the other day with a buddy I was running with. It was weird, because we're gonna go do like the 13 Peaks run in like 2 weeks time, but I've actually just been spending long days in for the longer, and actually just like because of that getting like knacker. So it also depends on the individual to like a block of me kind of from that, like you just become more efficient and then you move faster. And I guess with an ultra, if you look at it, you're never really moving that like quickly. Obviously there are times when you do move. It's not like I think kind of doing specific set, like if everything's just kind of one dimensional, you just kind of put on your shoes and go into the mountains, like very like slow in doing sessions. I don't believe you need to crazy track sessions. A couple of kind of seven or eight out of 10 perceived effort, and I think you can get gain. So I think the biggest thing is probably guys are following a little bit more structure hours every day. Like guys will like follow a bit more structure. So yeah, I think like finding what works for you. But I do think like there are ways to like, I think once you reach a certain level, then you have to find like, I think to ultra do your high volume, do where they plateau out. It might just be like of speed or straight downhill running, and then you can start getting a bit more specific. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered the question.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great answer, and also like I will just add that it also depends on the race. Like there's so many races where you can run so fast in 100 miles. Like there's Western states and maybe a couple more American style of running. But as you say today, like you're never moving your legs so fast, like you're going a threshold pace, or you're not even going like on a VO2 max effort. So like you just gotta be consistent, and maybe adding some specific workouts would help to develop those systems. But volume and consistency is at the end of the day the finish line.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think also, as you say, like keeping things fun and interesting. Like I think some people can go like too structured and too specific, and it's just like one session after the next, and you kind of lose your psyche and your passion. But then you also, on the other side, you also don't want to just like wake up every day and just run. Like it is nice to follow a bit of routine and to know where you're going and have some mini goals along the way. It's not just like you're running.
Yeah, I also think you did a really great job with that, with the plan that you did with us, just in terms of giving the way, like having some time trials, having like enough structure that you're on track, but like not so over structured that it takes the fun out of it. So philosophy matches really well with the way that you did your plan too.
Cool, thanks. Yeah,
I'm trying to see.
I think yeah, keeping it.
Yeah, that's key. You need so much motivation for a big effort. I think we can.
Yeah, I think we've got just one more question for you, and then there's a runner who would like to know, what is your go-to treatment in managing if or when you hit those times of gastrointestinal distress during a race or during a long effort?
Yeah, recently. I think I'll have a lot of that at UTMB. Yeah, it's like tough. I think it depends. Like often, I think you also need to like actually listen to a podcast from Jason Coop. The thing is like train our bodies, and we do specific. But a lot of people don't train their nutrition, and I'll see at this like in a race you can use an hour, but then when you do your long training runs, you may be taking 100 calories, 150 calories an hour, and then so in a race, and you're suddenly pushing your body that much harder. Your stomach's under more stress, and then you're expecting it to digest double the amount. Says like, hold on, like I can't do this, and I think that's one of the reasons why you. I think to manage that, you often need to just like try and really take your foot off the gas. I'm at an aid station, just try and get something down, and also mix up your nutrition. Maybe if you just like smashing lots of gels and stuff, maybe try and get in some salts, some kind of solid food, just to kind of cool down. I know it's frustrating, but if you and then you like just let through this and then be bad. So I think just is important, but I also think just kind of your race. Obviously you can't, you're not going to do it like every training run, but maybe on your longer training, like on some of your longer training runs, just kind of try dial in your race nutrition and see what works for you. Try and like kind of have lots of my go-to be like halfway through I can't like stomach that, so maybe it's or kind of is into a race. Sometimes like people like really like often going into the race, like your stomach's already a little bit like maybe doing some like relaxing breathing just is important. And again, also like if it's really hot, often your stomach is under extra like stress, because like all the blood goes from your stomach into your legs and your muscle, and your pace a little bit your heart rate, and then you can like stomach things, and also maybe just like when you eat like before a big climb, like don't like when you're at max heart rate or what you're going to be in a race, don't try and like suddenly eat a whole lot of stuff, because then it's really hard for your body to digest it. So yeah, I think just kind of mixing it up from that point of view is important.
Awesome. There's a lot of good value there. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Ryan, thank you so much. We'll let you go. We really appreciate your time. This has been great for us too.
I am personally taking notes for like, my races and this and next year. This is gonna
be great chat. No, it's perfect. Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully see you in Chamonix soon.
Yeah, right?
Well, we live an hour from Chamonix, so anytime you want to come, just let us know. We'll receive you happily in our house.
Awesome. I will do. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers.